What's up, everyone? This is Alexis Gallardo. Thank you for tuning in to this week's podcast. We got a special guest in the building. We got Brendan Alexander Forde, a.k.a. Alexander Forde, a.k.a. Xander the Great on IG, a.k.a. Bryson Tiller. What's up, man? Yo, how you been, man? How you been?
I've been doing good. Good to see you.
Oh, good to see you too, man. Holy shit. We're here to talk about your come-up journey, your biggest challenges, your greatest accomplishments. I've seen you go from like 0 to 60. I remember when we were in the real estate game together, because we were in the real estate on the same real estate team together. Shout out to Team Sure. Yep. Great team. Learned a lot. I remember when we used to do cold calls together. We used to door knock together. And yo, the first time I met you, I'm like, yo, look at this dude. Like, he's just so fresh. He's so chill. He's just like super open. Yep. And now I see full gas, no brakes. You're working with one of the biggest names in the real estate game now. And you also filmmake beyond just real estate. You do like commercial stuff, you do short films, you have high budget equipment, and people fucking love you, including myself, man. He has a YouTube, y'all. Thank you. Yo, so what has that transition been like, being a former real estate agent to now full-time filmmaker? Like, was this always the plan? Like, was this always in your mind? How did this all freaking start, man?
Yeah, so this was always the master plan, definitely. Respectfully, fuck real estate. I do not miss real estate at all. I feel like I had no business being in it, to be honest with you. So as far as, has this been the plan? Yes, because in high school was when I made the decision that I wanted to be a movie director. In high school, we could get into that like maybe like later on or whatever. But in high school was when I made the decision I want to be a movie director, and since then, that was always the goal. Like there's never been a time where that dream kind of like went away or whatever, or I questioned it or whatever. Right. Or the only time was when I got into real estate and I was like, okay, let me put that to a side and focus on real estate. But again, it was I shouldn't have even been in real estate. That's
so interesting to me, because from my understanding, you also went to school for filmmaking.
Exactly.
Right? So like, what inspired you to like get into real estate first, and then, and then do filmmaking? Why not go straight into filmmaking right after?
Yeah. So I got into real estate because my friend from high school, he was a real estate agent. Sebastian. Yep. He was just like, hey, try real estate. And at the time, I was like, yeah, why not? It was at the end of my senior year in college. COVID happened. The world was going crazy.
Shit. And video skyrocketed during the pandemic too. TikTok and mad people were on social media just that was the time to get in.
Exactly. Yeah. Right? So, he told me to get into real estate, and it's kind of just one of those things where it's like, fuck it, why not? Let's try it. So, I tried it, and that's the best. I tried it, like that's the best way to put it, really. That's it. Like,
we used to like door knock in courtrooms.
Yeah.
We would like go to the office several times a week, like just making our cold calls. Still by owners. Get rejected on the phone.
Yeah.
Do you miss that?
Hell no, not at all. I tell people, because I work with real estate agents now. I tell them all the time, I do not miss real estate at all.
But in a way, do you feel that real estate like kind of taught you a little bit? Because I remember when you first started like getting these clients now in filmmaking, like these high-end clients that you're working with. My eyes are like high-end. From my understanding, you would like DM them, or like you would send them emails or something and like reach them out. Like the similar practice to what we would do in real estate. Like, if you want to get someone's attention, like DM them, and do that. Like, you think you learned some things from real estate, like you applied them to your filmmaking journey?
So, I would say yes and no. I would say with real estate, I think it, what's the word? It was like a soft introduction to like just thinking with business, because yes, when it comes to freelance, it is business too. The difference is it's that, so this is where it becomes interesting. My whole life, I see myself as an artist. I don't see myself as a businessman. And so when I got into when I got into real estate, the biggest problem I had was that, like, yo, you got to be a businessman. But the problem was that a lot of the philosophies and logic behind being a businessman in real estate, I just didn't agree with. And I'm someone who is very, very big on philosophy and everything.
Yes, I remember that.
And just in general, right? It's just how my mind works. I have a very philosophical mind. So it's like, I have a hard time when someone or people try to tell me to do something a certain way if it just doesn't logically check out for me.
Right.
I just struggle with it. So with real estate, for example, cold calling for sale by owners, right? People in real estate know for sale by owners, like, that's like you're shooting yourself in the foot, because they hate you. You know they hate you, and you're calling them anyway, trying to smooth talk them. No, you know what I'm saying? It's just, again, logically, you tell me that, and it's just like, what? Like,
so true.
So there's that, and just, you know, door knocking and all that stuff. But what I'm saying is, the tactics and methods I'm using now with video, I feel like I wanted to do real estate a certain way that made more sense to me, but I was in a space that I knew nothing about, so I didn't trust it. One, because I didn't know enough about real estate to be confident enough to do it with my own spin, and two, again, it was just new. I didn't know anything. With filmmaking, it's like I'm using the business tactics that I saw myself using in real estate, but I didn't use. But now I'm using them with filmmaking. But now it's working. But it's because filmmaking is my space. That's my corner. So now, I was confident to execute on that business philosophy, I guess you can say, and it's working. And there's a lot of things that go into that.
That's so crazy. You know when they say, like, fake it till you make it, but I feel like in this instance, though, it's like you can't fake it. Like,
in which instance?
Like in the sense that, like, you really got to be passionate. Like, if you want to be successful in something big, like, you want to make it big in something, you really have to. I personally feel like you have to have, like, a passion for it, like almost like obsessed, like you like Steve Jobs, like you see Elon Musk, they fucking sleep in their factories type of obsession. I'm not saying you gotta do all that, but like, but it's like. It's so hard when you have like one foot in, one foot out, like, and that was real estate. You're saying for yourself and for me too, because like that was me too, man. Like,
no, yeah, I'm not. Yeah. I'm glad you said that, because this is something that I feel very strongly about, and this is what I'm saying. This has always been my philosophy. So like, I agree with you. I think that some people may not agree with me. If to be successful, you need to be passionate about it. You need to be obsessed with it. Yeah. You need to be obsessed with it. And I'm saying this from the perspective of a diehard Kobe fan. Today's actually his birthday.
Holy shit.
R.I.P.
Happy birthday, Kobe. You'll rest in peace.
Would have been 44. Yeah.
I remember that day too.
Yeah. Terrible day.
God.
Yeah. No, it's fine. But I mean, I love Kobe not just because of basketball, because his philosophy could literally be applied to anything. I was literally watching a video about him the other day, and the guy was saying that Kobe could have literally been in any other field. He could have been in business, he could have been in sales, he could have been in whatever, and he would have been equally as successful in that field, because the mindset. And so his mindset, and honestly, I'm applying this mindset to like my business now, and it's like it's working. If you pay attention to my Instagram, I'm constantly posting stories about like Kobe and stuff, like just pictures or videos. And if you're curious to know of, you know, like why you're doing that, that's kind of me, like, just it's all personal. I don't care what, you know, what people think, but it's kind of me just constantly just putting myself just in that mentality, in that mindset of like, you know, what would Kobe do, you know, all that stuff. But so he is all about obsession. I mean, he's probably arguably the most obsessed basketball player and the most hardest working basketball player of all time. I mean, the shit he did is just fucking stupid, like ridiculous. Yeah, like ridiculous.
Like in what way?
Oh man,
Like,
there's so many stories.
Many?
So no, I mean I could. Oh man, I'm a Kobe fan, so I have no problem telling you all the stories.
Okay, because I used to watch his interviews too.
This is something that I really loved about him, and this is something that I do adopt 100%. Is that his mind? He saw the parallels of life. You know, he saw that everything was connected, right? So, and this is a true story. He's the type of person who will want, who knows he needs to improve on his game, and then he'll see a parallel to basketball with something that has nothing to do with basketball and connect the dots and use that thing that has nothing to do with basketball to help him with basketball. So a story is, do you know who Allen Iverson is?
No.
So he's like one of the most famous point guards of all time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's more known if you like pay attention to basketball because he never won a championship, so he never really got, you know. But if you're a basketball fan, you know Allen. He's a legend. He's one of the greatest point guards of all time. So, offensively, he was great. He was a great player. So when Kobe was younger, he played a game against Allen Iverson, and Allen Iverson tore his ass up, just lit him up, scored on him. Scored on him. Right. This was when Kobe was young, right? So Kobe, you know, he's obsessed. He wants to, you know, be great at basketball. So now, so now from Kobe's perspective, it's like, how can I become a better defender? I got to stop this man. So this is the fucking story. It's true shit. One day he was watching like Animal Planet or Discovery Channel, and he was watching a segment on great white sharks, and then he saw a parallel between how great white sharks hunt their prey and how basketball can be played how defense could be played. So he started studying great white sharks. Like he went out of his way to study great white sharks because he saw the connections between that and defense and basketball. The next time he played Allen Iverson, he locked him up. Allen Iverson didn't score a single point on him.
Really?
Didn't score a single point on him.
I wonder what that specific thing was.
Exactly, yeah. I don't know exactly what that thing was, but that's how his mind works. Or another story is later on in his career, I think when he was like winning his two-peat, his championships on the latter half of his career, right. He's very into art.
Kobe?
Yeah, he's very into art. He likes classical music. Little fun fact, Moonlight Sonata is my favorite classical piece of all time, and it's 100% because of Kobe.
Moonlight Sonata?
Yeah, you've heard of it.
Yeah?
It's one you've heard of it.
Okay.
The name you play it,
yes.
you will know. Yeah.
Probably do.
I became a fan because I remember once he posted about it and I listened to it. I was like, holy, this is beautiful, and everyone knows it. But it's one of the most beautiful pieces ever. But anyway, so he was paying attention to a composer, like with music, like a composer.
Yeah.
He randomly calls a famous composer. I think it was like a Disney composer or whatever, and he saw a parallel between how a composer orchestrates music and how you could run an offense with basketball. So he called the composer and was like just picking his brain, asking questions about composing music, but then saw the parallel between running an offense, and then he started applying those same philosophies to running his offense. And there's another story. There's one of Beethoven's symphonies. I think it's the fifth symphony. He saw a parallel between the pace and the tempo of the symphony, and then he modeled his game in a game after the pace of the symphony. So like the symphony, I forgot exactly how it goes, but it starts out slow, but then it goes fast, and then like there's a tempo, right?
Right.
He saw and then he modeled his game. So when he was playing, he's playing to the symphony. Like he starts fast, and then maybe he slows down, and then he starts passing more, and then he gets aggressive again, and then but that's what it takes a crazy mind to like think about things from that. Or even the Black Mamba, his nickname.
Yep.
A Black Mamba is the deadliest snake on the planet. I'm not sure if you knew that. It's the deadliest snake on the planet. It's the fastest snake on the planet. So that's why he called himself the Black Mamba, because he said, he was like, I want to attack my opponents the way a black mamba attacks its prey. Because a black mamba is quick. It's one of those things where, like, it just, and then you're dead. You're dead because it puts its venom in you. Like if a black mamba was, and it doesn't matter if you're 300 pounds, doesn't matter how big you are. If that thing just catches you, just nicks you, you're dead.
That is
Yeah.
OD.
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask you who are like some of your most influential people in your life, and it sounds like
Kobe,
and Kanye. Okay, why? I can see why you say Kanye, because he also has that like he's so forward thinking, like so ahead of his time, and people today, they see Kanye like, you're fucking crazy, but it's like the shit that's happening now he would say 10 years ago, and it's like, okay, now we're living in what you were saying like 10 years prior. Like y'all are just out, just having archaic way of thinking, and y'all need to. He's like, why do you think I talk to young people? Because only they have like the most creative minds.
Kanye too. From an overall life perspective, I would say Kobe. From a purely artistic perspective, I would say Kanye. And the crazy thing about, again, parallels. So coming back to what I was saying, right? So how I do videography and how I'm seeing my videography career now. This may sound stupid, but from the philosophy of parallels, it's like I'm seeing it like I'm Kobe. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just saying from the perspective of what he would do in certain scenarios, like what would be the basketball equivalent to the situation I'm in, and how would he handle that basketball situation. So how he handled that basketball situation, I'm gonna do the equivalent to like filmmaking. So it's like that for Kobe, but for Kanye, it's kind of more direct because it's art. So with videos, for example, I'm always trying to innovate, even with these real estate videos. I mean, like, I'm doing stuff that, well, you say, we could be real. So the bar is so fucking low for videographers with real estate. It's so fucking low. Like,
why do you think that is?
I'm glad you asked that, because my answer to that, I think, is a very good. So
I feel like you would know, because you're in.
I tell myself that. So I don't know if it's a problem. It's good.
Hey, it's okay if you think it is.
No, so videography is very accessible, right? You could literally just buy a camera, start shooting videos. And then this also kind of ties into the whole real estate thing, where it's like, to start a business, you don't need to be an expert to start a business, right?
That's true.
And this comes back to what we were saying about being obsessed, being passionate.
Yeah.
There are tons of successful operating businesses that are ran by people who are not obsessed with the craft, right? But so this is how you separate the masters, the greats, from the people who are average, right? It's the difference between Kobe and Michael Jordan and, basketball players that are playing today who, they're solid players, they're good players, they're making money, they have a good career, but no one's going to remember them in 10 years. And so what I'm saying is, I think the problem is a lot of these videographers are people who just came across videography, had fun with it, which is fine, there's nothing wrong with that, came across it, had fun with it, started doing it, and was like, oh wait, I can make money off of this. And then they started a business, and because they're good at business, that's the thing with business. It's like once you're good at business, you could kind of make a business out of anything. It doesn't matter how good you are, because with business, there really isn't a correlation between value and how successful the business is, because value of the product or service, because if you're a good businessman, you could sell anything, right?
That's true.
So what I'm saying is, so the difference between me, it's, I'm not someone who just came across video and it's just like, oh, this is fun. Video to me, filmmaking to me, it's more intimate, it's more serious. And I say this a lot. I may come across as a fucking pretentious weirdo, but this is just how I feel.
Not true.
This is me being real. Filmmaking to me, it's a spiritual, like it's deep. Like it's deep. It's deep. So what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is, the way I approach it, my mentality when I'm making a video, it's a completely different, like the difference between someone who just came across a video, it's like, oh, this is fun, this is cool, I can make a business out of it. The perspective of that person and the perspective of me who's like, yo, like, I want to be in Hollywood one day, I want to make masterpieces, I want to make cinematic, like, I'm just seeing things differently. So that kind of allows me to tap in to just certain things when it comes to decision making and just making a video that I think these other dudes are just whatever. But the bar, the bar is so low. Like, there would be times when I would be on Instagram and I would look at pages again of successful operating businesses. What I mean by successful and operating, I mean they're getting clients, right? and I'm looking on their page, I'm looking at their videos, and I'm getting angry. Like, I'm getting angry because I'm like, there's no fucking way. And people are gassing them up and shit. I'm like, there's no fucking way people are looking at this and are like happy. But then it, on the flip side, it makes sense now why I've gained so much traction, because now everyone was used to that watered down corny shit, and then when they see my shit, they've never seen anything like it because no one's doing anything like it.
100%. Because especially when you go on his YouTube, Alexander Forde, is that like the at to your hoop? Like, just looking at your short films on there, like the ones that you did with Matt was in one of them, and like you just setting the scene, like where you're in like the back of the car, they're opening up the car. I'm like, what the fuck's about to happen? Is there a dead body in there? You're evoking all these emotions in my head right now.
I just wanna say
sound of the silhouettes and everything.
That was a test short film. That wasn't even a. So you haven't seen nothing yet. That was a test. That was test footage.
We haven't even seen anything
yet. That was test footage.
That was test footage.
That was test footage. Yeah. I just wanna let you. Yeah.
Yo, you should have a hashtag. That was just test footage.
Yeah. A lot of my shit's test footage. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie.
No, but that's good. That means that you're practicing, because like this is all about like trial and error. Like what's gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like with filmmaking too, it's about evoking the senses. Like it's not just visual. It's also like emotion and like sound and like too, you know the color, like all of that stuff. 100%. So like it's so interesting what you were saying before, like what separates, you know, the Kobes from the Michael Jordans, you know. It's kind of like the transactional people versus the people that are like obsessed, like this is like their spiritual journey. And then there are people that do it because it's transactional. It's like they do it for like the short term, like the money now, the instant gratification. And then there are people like you that do it for the masterpiece, the whatever. In your journey so far, now that you're a full-time filmmaker now, right? What do you think has been your biggest challenge, or like your biggest like dip, like bump in the road? You're like, fuck, like I'm doing this, but I don't know how I'm gonna get out of this right now, or like I don't know, that like maybe broke you down. Like, have you ever had a moment like that lately?
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I think I've been pretty fortunate in things have been. It's kind of just been like a snowball. Like things have just gotten better every month. Yeah, but I get, as far as obstacles, I would say starting out, it was just getting enough clients to the point where I knew I didn't have to work another job. You know, that was starting out. Now I don't really have that problem. I'm always forward thinking. Like, so for example, like right now I'm good and I've been good. But the way my mind works, I have like paranoia. I always think bad. I think it's a gift and a curse. It's bad because I stress myself out. I have a lot of anxiety. It's good because there's a saying. They say, you know, what's the saying? Like the paranoid mind is the last one standing or whatever. Like the man who's paranoid is the one who lasts, right? Yeah. Like the man who's paranoid saw all the terrible shit that could happen, so it doesn't happen to him while it happened to everyone else, because everyone else didn't see it coming. So that's why I think it's a gift and a curse, because yes, you know, I'm constantly living in a state of like anxiety and stuff, but it's good because I'm always thinking for the future. Right. And so even right now, right, like September is going to be a good month for me financially, but I just saw a little potential ounce of it not being so. So I'm starting to reach out to a few more people now, which it's been a while since I've reached out to people. I'm starting to reach out to a few more people just to make sure, just in case, you know, because I'm paranoid. Right. Just to make sure if for some reason it's not, I know, you know what I'm saying? Right. So I guess, to answer your question, starting out was getting enough clients. As far as that, and just now I'm making good money, I'm doing it full time, I would say the biggest problem is, again, it's one of those things where it's like a double-edged sword. I would say the biggest problem is kind of branching out, right? Because, like, I don't want to stay in the real estate scene, you know? Like, I don't want to... I see that. I'm just being real. I don't want to be known as, like, the dude who makes cool, trendy, vertical videos. Like, honestly, like, fuck that shit. Right. I'm so self-conscious, even on my Instagram page. So I'll post a lot of my work on Instagram, not necessarily because I'm proud of it, but for the business aspect. Do you know the collab feature on Instagram? Where it's like, so the collab feature is, so there's a regular tag feature when you post and you tag the person. The collab feature is when both pages show up on the post.
Okay, yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. And so that's good, because if you follow me, but you don't follow Bob, and I do a collab feature with Bob will show up on your feed. And if Bob has followers that don't follow me, I'll show up on their feed, because that's a good thing about the collab feature, and it has helped me get business also. But so on my page, I'll do a lot of collabs with my client. So my client will post it on their page, but I'll do the collab. And so what the collab does is it also posts it on your page. So I would be posting the client's work on my page through the collab feature. And so I would be posting my work, and it's just funny because, you know, my followers, they don't really like it. All the likes always come from the client. And I don't post it because I'm proud of it. It's because this purely from a business perspective, of just getting my name out there, my name. I know it's good for business. Right. But there's times when, and I'll do before, like I'll like just delete. I'll take my name off of the collab, even though, you know, it says bad for business, but I'll take my name off of the collab. So I take it off of my page, because that's not what I want to be known for. And I hope, who knows, maybe there are people who look at me like, oh, you know, this guy thinks he's hot shit, all he does is make trendy vertical videos. It's like, I see that 100%, but just know there's way more in the tank that you haven't seen yet. I'm working on it, but right now this is really just a means of it's paying the bills. But what I'm saying is I do want to branch out, because again, the goal is and always will be Hollywood, right? Like, I want to make it to Hollywood. I want to be making feature-length films that is seen by everyone, right? This comes back to what I was saying. This is another thing, right? When I told you filmmaking, it's like a spiritual, it's a serious thing for me, right?
Yeah.
Someone listening may hear that and be like, wait a second, this dude just makes fucking TikTok reels. How the fuck is that spiritual? It's like, yeah, like that. Like that's the point. What I'm saying is, this is just a means for me to make money now, but I do want to branch out to start making substantial bodies of work where I could still get paid for it. It doesn't have to just be movies, right? Like, I could still get paid for some sort of commercial or marketing ad, but it's an ad that was actually produced from the perspective of a Hollywood production. So that is, it's taken seriously. There's pre-production. It's not shot in a vertical format. It's shot in the traditional widescreen format. There's a beginning, middle, end. There's some sort of story. It's a work of art.
Right.
Those are where my skills are, and I know that's what, you know, I don't want to waste my talent making just vertical reels. If I'm being real with you, I fucking hate them. I hate it.
That's valid.
Yeah, I hate it.
Would you really say it's a waste of time, or would you say, like, would you genuinely say it's a waste of time, or would you say, like, it's more of like a stepping stone for you? Because it's also helping you edit and stuff like that. But, like, I don't know. Do you agree or disagree with that? Like, what do you think? That's interesting.
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely a stepping stone without a doubt. Wasting time, I don't know, because then, you know, I think from the perspective of, again, making the basketball analogy, it's like, these are just my shots at the gym, you know, like these reels and everything, you know, these aren't the important games, but these are shots up at a gym. And Kobe could say, you know, there's no such thing as too many wasted shots, I mean, you know, at the gym.
The way that he would practice, he would do like what? Wake up at like 4 in the morning, and then 6 to 9 or whatever to do practice shots, eat lunch, come back 1 to 3, and then like 3 to 6, and then it's like you're literally light years ahead from your competitors when they're only practicing once a day. So it's like, you know, because I look at your Instagram, your YouTube, and I look at like the progression, like just the quality of the video, like the everything. I remember when you were like upgrading even like your lav mics and stuff like that. Like,
yeah. So it's funny because some people have told me or will say like, oh, you know, like your work has gotten better, it's progressed over time. And this comes into another topic that I feel strongly about that has to do with art. Me personally, this is just me, I think my work getting better is more of a result of me just having access to better tools and equipment, more so than me just getting better. What I'm saying is I feel like from the jump I was always capable of making the videos I'm making now. The difference was I was working with like shitty gear. And this comes to the topic of people say gear doesn't matter, gear doesn't matter. I think that saying is only true to a point.
It's like a myth. It's like a common myth.
To a point.
Right?
Gear doesn't matter to a point, but with every piece of gear, there's a ceiling. And once you reach that ceiling, you cannot surpass it. So, for example, the camera that I'm using right now, a Sony FX3, which I love so much, it's a cinema camera. It has all the basic needs for, it's 2022, right? It shoots in S-Log3, has a 10-bit sensor. You just get a very professional looking image out of it.
Right.
The images that I could get out of that camera, I could not get with the camera that I started out with, which was the Canon 80D, which is an old DSLR from 2016.
I agree.
So
I agree.
you could look at my older videos where I was shooting on that, and I was using a shitty gimbal too, right? And then you could look at a video I make now and be like, yo, this video is so much better. But it's like, well, yeah, the video was better because back then I was using a camera from 2016 that didn't even shoot 4K, and I was using a gimbal that wasn't even good.
Right.
Compared to now, I have a cinema camera rigged on the best gimbal on the market. So it's like, and you see it because with the best gimbal on the market, now you get the smooth movement. So now you don't have any jitters. Back then I would have little mini jitters.
Right.
With the cinema camera, again, it shoots S-Log3, so it has more dynamic range, which results in a more professional looking image. Right. Shoots 4K 120 frames per second. So all that stuff, and that stuff that equates to quality. So like, I guess what I'm saying is like, again, this is serious to me since high school. I always wanted to be a filmmaker. So it's like I take this shit very seriously. Like I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I take this shit very fucking seriously. And so it's one of those things where it's just like I'm obsessing over every little videos that I do. In my head, I'm like, this could always be better. There's always something that wasn't that great. People will tell me, oh, this is great, and I'll be like, whatever. The way I look at it, it's like I've never arrived, I guess you could say, when it comes to making a good video. It's like it's a never-ending journey of perfection. But the difference is I know that perfection doesn't exist, and I know that perfection isn't attainable.
Right, because it's all subjective.
It's all subjective. But my mind being so obsessive, it's like I'm just obsessing over and enjoying the pursuit. There's a philosophical story called The Myth of Sisyphus. Not to get too deep into it, but essentially this had to do with like existentialism, with like happiness and everything. But the main takeaway, Albert Camus, he said, one must imagine Sisyphus happy. People ask, what's the meaning of life? How can you be happy? He says, one must imagine Sisyphus happy. Well, what was Sisyphus and what did he do, for you to understand what that means? Sisyphus was a man who was damned for the rest of eternity to have to push a boulder up a hill, and every single time he would reach the top of the hill, the boulder would fall, and then he would have to start back. He would do it for the rest of eternity, pushing a boulder up and then down, up and for the rest of eternity. But then Albert Camus takes it a step further, and then he says, okay, what's the key to life? One must imagine Sisyphus happy. So it's like one must imagine Sisyphus being happy, pushing that boulder up for the rest of eternity. Someone would be like, yo, that's insane, that's crazy, like that's such hard work. But now tying it into art, if Sisyphus is a fucking psychopath and he's obsessed with pushing rocks or boulders, he doesn't give a fuck, he likes it. What I'm saying is, the analogy is my videos, in a way, it's like pushing the rock up. The rock staying up symbolizes the perfect video,
Right.
but for the myth, that never happens because it always falls back down. So here I am just constantly pushing it up and down, and I enjoy that itself. Like I don't care about the rock being perfectly on top. I just enjoy fucking constantly. Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That analogy is so mind-blowing to me. Like that couldn't be more true. It's like at the end of the day, it's not really so much about the end goal. It's more about like the journey, like the destination, like that whole, like the ups, the downs, the rejections, the accomplishments. So like, wow.
And
that's intense.
And so that's why I also believe in, some people disagree in this, is that in order to be truly successful, you need to be passionate, because when you're passionate about your field, you're going to enjoy the journey because you're passionate about it. You love everything about it.
Right.
If you're not passionate about it, you know, like I wasn't passionate about real estate. I didn't give a fuck about selling people houses. So like, you know, I was dealing with all the downsides and I was like, yo, fuck this shit. Right. But I could go through the same downsides with filmmaking, right? Who knows? Maybe, you know, I have a saying, right? Like the winter always comes, right? Like nothing lasts forever. Like I could be doing great now, but there'll be a time, who knows, where I'm out of work. You never know. But best believe I'll enjoy that, and while that's happening, I'll try to figure out ways to get more work, but I'll enjoy it because I'm like, at least like I'm in the game, you know, like it's a game to me, right? It's like I'm in the game. Like shit, we're down 10 in the third quarter, but like the game's not over. The game's never over, right?
Wow, this is a big one. So do you believe that in order to be successful, which I feel like you do believe in this, like you have to let go of certain things that are holding you back, whether it be people, whether it be lifestyle, whether it be habits? Like, do you feel like in order to get to where you want to be, can you take those people with you that hold you back? Could they change? Do you see hope in them? Could you take that lifestyle with you even though it's not serving you right now? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I would say when it comes to being successful, your environment is very, very, very important, and you need to be very strict with it.
Disciplined and stuff.
Yeah. So that could be anything. It could be the people in your life, friends, family, romantic partners, colleagues, anybody.
Yeah, romantic partners. That's a big one.
Yeah. Like so I'm at a point in my life currently where I feel like mentally I'm the happiest. I'm the most at peace that I've ever been. But that is a byproduct of also me being in a position where I'm being more strict with who I want to be friends with, who I want to interact with, you know, the type of behavior or like energy that I let in my life. And so, but like with very sensitive, and I'm very strict to it, because it comes down to you need to know who you are, and you need to know what you want.
Right, and your boundaries.
And your boundaries. And once you know all those things, that's when you go about moving differently to like protect that. And so those things are subjective to everybody. What my boundaries are may not be what your boundaries are, may not be what the other person's boundaries are, but ultimately they're your boundaries and it's your life. And so you need to figure out what those boundaries are, and you need to like stand your ground, right?
That's really
with real estate, for example, right? Like this kind of answers your question. Like,
no, you keep going.
And I think I posted about this recently on my story. It was like, nowadays everyone wants to be a jack of all trades, right? Like everyone wants to do everything. But then there's a saying, which is what I believe in, where it's like a jack of all trades, master of none. Like you could be a jack of all trades, but you're not a master at anything.
Right.
And what I'm saying is, I'm in this shit to be a master. Like I want to be a master, you know? Like I don't want to just be good. I want to be a master, but to be a master, again, it comes back to what we said. You need to be obsessed. And so you need to be obsessed, and you need to literally focus on your shit, literally like tunnel vision. So that means literally anything that does not have to do with that, it just, you know?
Right.
So for example, like real estate, like
that's true. You gotta filter it all out.
Yeah. So like with real estate, like that had nothing to do with video, like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I had no business being in real estate.
Right.
If I tried to keep the two or try to balance the two, like I would have never doubled down. Like now, like here I am with filmmaking. It's like I'm at a point in my life where it's like I feel like words can't describe to you how like much I'm obsessing over this shit. It's like literally like everything has to do with, and by has to, I don't mean it has to do with this. I'm saying it has to as in like it must, I need it to. Like everything needs to be nurturing the dream
Right.
of making it to Hollywood. If it's not nurturing that dream, it's like literally like I literally have like tunnel vision right now, and like at the end it's fucking Hollywood, and everything else is just like yeah.
So now that you're talking about Hollywood, because I'm not gonna, I'll get back into that. Why Hollywood? Like, what is it about Hollywood that like you're just like tunnel vision for? And that's great. That's a great thing to have. I'm just curious to know, like, why not like, I don't know, fucking like I don't know, fucking MTV. I don't know, like why Hollywood?
Yeah. So Hollywood is it's kind of a placeholder. I'm saying Hollywood in the traditional sense that in terms of an industry where the greatest movies are made, distributed, and acknowledged, that is Hollywood. That is the industry. So what I'm saying is, my goal isn't I want to be in Hollywood for the sake of being in Hollywood. My goal is I want to contribute in making some of the greatest films ever made, and I want those films to be seen and distributed amongst the world. So of all the industries right now, Hollywood is that industry. But so here's the flip side of things. It's like things are changing. I could see a possible scenario in the future where I could achieve that goal not through Hollywood. You know, maybe I'm not working through the industry. Who knows? One day I just figure out a way to become wealthy and I start funding my own films. Like Tyler Perry, he has his own production studio. He funds all of his films. Shout out to him for that. But from an artistic perspective, I think his films are terrible, but we don't have to get into that. Yeah, whatever. But from a business perspective, I respect it. But so what I'm saying is, if I could get to a point where I'm making films that are of the highest possible quality, I'm telling the stories I want to tell, and the world is seeing them, and I'm being recognized for it, and I figured out how to do it not through Hollywood, then yes, I'm fine. I'm just saying Hollywood now because currently Hollywood is so.
You answered my question. So the reason why I hesitated in the beginning is because I didn't want to like put this in your mind, but like now that I know your answer, with Hollywood, my perspective of Hollywood, there's a lot of like
gatekeeping,
like just a lot of what's the word, like pretentious people, like very like the culture. I fear that the culture is so fake. Like, you know, when people go to LA, it's like, oh, everyone has like the fake this, the fake that. They just want to be on social media. Like, do you ever see that as being like an impediment for you, like an obstacle for you, like culture? Like, do you think the like you'll be phased by the culture at all, or are you really focused on like making the best movies in the world or whatever? Yeah.
So the way I see it is like, I see it from the perspective of like a Kanye who he doesn't give a fuck, and he like you know, people are offended by him and people hate him, and he doesn't give a fuck, and he's still making dope shit. So like, I always said I could see myself being the type of artist, you know, in Hollywood where it's like I'm making dope shit, and you know, maybe people don't like me because like there's, you know, in Hollywood there's a whole bunch of fucking weirdos and shit, and it's just like I don't give a fuck. Like I'm gonna still make dope shit. And so this also comes back to another motto that I tell myself that I believe in, that I'm also applying to my business. And this has to do with my business philosophy that I was telling you about, that kind of ran counterintuitive to like a traditional real estate philosophy. Right. And that is my motto, one of my biggest mottos right now is let the work speak for itself. The work will always speak for itself.
I agree with that.
We live in a world, or, you know, when it comes to business and everything, that, you know, if the product is good enough, if the service is good enough, people will buy it. Right. Lamborghinis, for example. You don't need to sell someone to buy any person who like buys a Lamborghini, who like ever buys a Lamborghini, chances are they weren't sold on buying a Lamborghini. They just bought it because they wanted it, because they know the quality of a Lamborghini. Yeah. What I'm saying is, if you're selling a product, if you're selling a service, make that product the Lamborghini. If it's good enough, you're not going to have to sell it because people are going to know it's good enough. Though you can make the argument, and some people may disagree with me, that the more you need to sell something, the more shitty it is, because it's like, again, if your shit's good, it speaks for itself. So that, you know, like right now, like with my freelance journey and everything, you know, I'm getting a lot of attention and stuff, but it's because my shit's good. People like my videos. But when it comes to the question with Hollywood and stuff, it's like, if I'm making great movies, who doesn't give a fuck whether you like me or not? Like, I'm gonna get noticed for it. Someone with Kanye, right? A lot of people hate Kanye. He makes great fucking music. Like, that's it.
So ahead of his time.
Exactly. And another thing with Kanye, which is very interesting, it's that he's wealthier than Jay-Z. I don't know if you know that. If you knew that.
No.
Yeah, he's wealthier than Jay-Z. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah. Jay-Z is worth like what? $1 billion?
Kanye's worth more than $1 billion.
No. 900 million, I think, is Jay-Z's net. Or shout out to Kanye. Yeah. Okay, I totally believe that.
Yeah.
I totally believe
but
that.
Like that's an interesting thing to dissect, because if you look at Kanye's career, Jay-Z was always the businessman, right? When it came to rap and hip-hop, Jay-Z was always the rapper that was like the businessman, right? People didn't associate rap with like money and stuff. Jay-Z was the one who made that shit popular, right? Kanye came up, and he has a track, I'm sure you know, he has a track record of just like social suicide. I don't know what you want to call it, where he just does shit that like so out of pocket, just makes people hate him,
right,
over and over and over and over again.
Let you finish?
Yeah.
Well, Beyonce had one of the greatest albums of all time.
Yeah, exactly.
Or that other one, the Polaroid one.
What, Lady Gaga?
Yeah, the Lady Gaga.
It's like, I love Lady Gaga. What the fuck does she know about cameras? Yeah, that shit's hilarious. Yeah. So, like, Kanye, yeah, no, he's funny. Yeah. So Kanye.
So out of pocket.
Yeah, out of pocket.
Yeah.
So, like, how the fuck did he manage to become a businessman? And, you know, but he's not a businessman. He's just a fucking genius artist, and he makes dope shit. Right. When it comes to fame, when it comes to business, right? It's very political, right? Who is a perfect person, right? I know perfect doesn't exist, but like, let's say Taylor Swift. I fucking hate Taylor Swift, by the way, but yeah, Taylor Swift. Let's say she started just like saying some crazy out of pocket shit that started offending everybody. She's gonna lose like deals and sponsorships. Look at Tiger Woods, right? When the whole thing broke out about like his affair, yeah, he lost mad deals. I don't know if you remember, they literally had a Gatorade line after him. It was called Tiger. It tasted pretty good. He had his own like Gatorade. He lost that. Like he lost mad deals. Like that happens, right?
Okay.
What I'm saying is, throughout Kanye's career, he has done so much shit that has made people just like not fuck with him, that I 100% know that he definitely has lost out on tons of streams of income through companies and sponsorships. But he has also stayed and continued a lot of streams of income. But what I'm saying is because he makes good shit. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, like, you have someone who is literally a businessman, focused on business, Jay-Z, trying to make all the money moves, all the business moves, right? Doesn't get into any trouble, right? And now he's sitting on, maybe he's sitting on $1 billion. Maybe he finally reached $1 billion, right?
Yeah.
Then you have someone like Kanye, who does not give a fuck about money. He just gives a fuck about making art. Like, that's all Kanye. He just wants to make art. Right. And he somehow manages to surpass Jay-Z in net worth without trying to. But just the product speaks for itself. Kanye makes dope shit. Kanye makes better music than Jay-Z. Jay-Z's a better rapper. Like, from a traditional perspective, Jay-Z's a better rapper than Kanye. That's a fact. Yeah. But from a sonic, artistic perspective of just overall music, not rap, just music overall, Kanye's 100% makes better music than Jay-Z. But you take it a step further, look at his shoes, right? It doesn't matter your opinion on his shoes. A lot of people like to talk shit about his shoes. His shit still sells. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter. His clothing. So different from exactly. It's different. Yeah. His clothing. A lot of people like talking shit about it. It still fucking sells. Right. Adidas, right? Like, did you know, if you look at the stock in Adidas before Kanye joined and after he joined, it's literally night and day. Before Kanye joined Adidas, they were on the same level as like Champion, Puma, Reebok, right? Like, they were there, right? Nike's right. No one's gonna pass Nike. Nike's all the way up here. Adidas was like down here with like Champion, Reebok, all that stuff. Once Kanye joined, Nike's up here. He took Adidas, and now they're like up here. Adidas, they're never gonna pass Nike, but now they're a definitive second place when it comes to like world sports brands. Right. Adidas is in second place right now. Like I don't think no one's gonna pass Nike, but Adidas is like second place was up for grabs, and they're now in second place because of fucking Kanye. Because he started making the Yeezys, the shoes, they were selling out. Like that only happened with basketball players, right? They would release the Jordans, they would sell out. Kanye's not even a basketball player, and he's making shoes that are selling out. Like think about that. If you pay attention to their rollout, like Adidas, was just their fashion in general, their shoes. When they made their first Yeezys, they started making other shoes that had the same style because they knew not everyone could afford the Yeezy. So every company does this when they have something else with cameras, right? They always have the flagship camera, but that is usually the most expensive. So they know that everyone can afford it. So then they make lower versions of like lesser, better versions, but it's still modeled after the same, So with the Yeezys, the Yeezys were the most popular. No, everyone can't afford Yeezys, so they started making other shoes that like mimicked the same style. Right. You look at brands, H&M, right? Yeah. Like Zara and stuff. Of course. A lot of their stuff I don't know if copy is the right word, but definitely was modeled after a lot of the early Yeezy season trends. I don't know if you remember them, when there was like a lot of nude colors and nude tones, like beiges and olive green and all that stuff, kind of like baggier, and people made the joke they look like homeless people clothes. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Like they're copying them. Right. So what I'm like, that's influence. That's having a good product. That's letting the work speak for itself. It doesn't matter whether or not you like Kanye. You could cancel him as much as you want. He's still making dope shit. Right. So I went on a tangent, but to answer your question of just being in Hollywood, what I'm saying is I don't care if you like me. I just care about making dope shit. 100%. So I'm completely okay with you not liking me, but you can't say I don't make dope shit. And that's where it's like, I fucking got you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and I feel like at the end of the day, it's more about like that spiritual, like inner accomplishment versus like trying to impress as many people as possible. You can't give a fuck about what people think. Right, 100%.
You can't give a fuck about what people think. That's another thing that I've really realized now. It's just like we're all gonna die one day. Like you literally, you just can't. Like I'm at a point now where it's just like, yo, like. Oh, this is another. We probably would have naturally gotten to it anyway, but we could elaborate on it anyway. Like self-love, right? Like self-love is super, super, super important, and it's one of those things where we kind of texted about this a little bit, but it's like the cliches, right? People say, "Oh, it's so cliche." Like people, "Oh, how do you be happy? How do you whatever?" And it's like one of the most cliche answers. It's like, "Oh, self-love. You have to learn to love yourself first." And I didn't really understand that until I got at the place I am now. Where it's like I feel like I'm finally at a place where like I really like love myself. So what I'm saying is, when you really love yourself, and I'm not just saying like, oh no, like you love yourself the same way you love like your mom or like a younger sibling or whatever. Like imagine you have siblings, right? Yeah. Like imagine like your sibling, right? You love them, right? Like if anyone tried to like bully them or like try to say they're a loser or just try to talk down on them, it's like you're not having that. It's like you're either gonna address that person or maybe you're not going to, but you're going straight to your sibling and you're telling them, yo, don't fucking listen to all these people. Like you are fine, like just the way you are. What I'm saying is you need to see yourself the way you would see a younger sibling. You need to see yourself the way you would see your mom, because that's the real self-love. And it's only until you see yourself like that is when you don't give a fuck. And it goes hand in hand, because people will be like, how do I not give a fuck anymore? How do I not give a fuck anymore? You won't give a fuck anymore until you love yourself. Like you can't. If you don't love yourself, you'll never be able to truly not give a fuck. Once you love yourself, you're not gonna give a fuck, because your love is gonna override any shit that people try to like put on you. It's like, this person thinks I'm this person thinks I'm that, whatever. It's like I love myself so fucking much. It's like I could not give two shits about what you think, because it's like I love myself and I'm fucking amazing, and like go fuck yourself. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I fucking love that.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
I love that you touched on that self-love topic, because it is so important. I remember when I first heard that advice, like, oh, but you need to love yourself before you can give to somebody else and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, okay, literally searching on YouTube, how do I love myself? Like, and it's like, it's the bullshit stuff. Like, go for a walk and fucking journal here and then do this prompt and you'll feel better. And it's like, but I still don't love myself, you know? So like everything that you're saying, like I love the analogy you used, like treat yourself like how you would protect a sibling, your mother, or like your closest whomever in your life.
Shout out to Jordan Peterson, because that's kind of a variation of something he said. I don't know if you know who Jordan Peterson is. He's this famous psychologist. Recently, I don't agree with everything he says, some stuff, whatever, but overall, he's very philosophical. He's all about self-improvement and stuff. And he has a saying that's, I think it's like treat yourself as if you would be like responsible for yourself, like as if you're someone. Treat yourself as if you're someone you would be responsible for. So it's kind of like this similar type of thing of like love yourself the way you would love like a sibling.
Yeah, I fucking love that. Holy shit. That's like the best advice you could give to the youth, the audience, anybody. Not even just the youth, but even older people need to know this, because I feel like a lot of older people don't know how to love themselves yet. And they're so like stuck in their ways, and it's like they're at that point where their brain's fully developed and they can't change. It's like you got to make the changes now when you're young and you're learning, you know? So I totally agree with 100% with what you're saying. So we're going to wrap this up. Final question. What piece of advice would you give to someone starting out in your career?
In film?
In filmmaking.
Okay.
That's 1. 2, what piece of advice would you give to your younger self? To be where you're at now. So however you want to answer that.
So when it comes to someone wanting to get started with freelance, just fucking reach out to people, like just DM people. It's actually crazy how easy it is. Like I didn't realize how easy it was. I literally have a friend who I think I'm meeting with after this, who I went to film school with him. He's a videographer, and you know, we were staying in contact, and he told me about a situation he was in where he was working for people and they were just fucking him, like, you know, like they were not paying him, just terrible, like just full on taking advantage, and he didn't know any better, because he didn't know any better, literally. And that, it was kind of great timing, because that was happening simultaneously while I was having success with my freelance stuff. So I would basically just tell him about my freelance stuff, and then he would just tell me what he's being paid, and I'd just be like, yo, bro, like, you could make so much more money on your own. Like, why are you working for these people? Fast forward to now, I convinced him to quit. He doesn't work with them, and now he's doing freelance shit, and now he's starting to make money. And all he literally did, just started DMing people. Like, it's great. Like, it's really easy. It's like the level for entry. So just, I guarantee if you DM 100 people, I don't know if I want to say I'll guarantee you'll have a job, but you will 100% have serious prospects that could potentially lead to a job. I would say DM 200 people and you'll definitely have a job. And it's like, come on, if you can't DM 200 people, like, you know.
Something that you've done?
Yeah, so it's one of those things, like, I started out DMing people, but it kind of comes back to what I was saying, right? Like, the work speaks for itself. I started out DMing people, but like people just quickly just saw the value of my videos, and then word of mouth, like that's kind of just, you know, word of mouth, and that's how I had my success. But like the level to entry is so easy because you just DM people, but then the real games begin when, okay, now you have clients, now you're DMing people, but now you got to make sure your shit's on point, because if it's not on point, then you're not really gonna, you know. So start DMing people, start getting work, but then also, you know, master your craft, because that's how you'll move up, and then you'll start working with more people, and people will be willing to pay you more because you're good at what you do, compared to if you're just DMing people and you don't give a fuck. You'll get jobs, but like you may not be able to justify charging more, and you may not be able to move up like the ladder. Now, like I said, I'm trying. I want to branch out into more serious clients and more serious work. So now I did develop a portfolio that is more serious stuff, like not just Instagram reels, like other stuff too. So now I have a portfolio. So it's just one link I send them. It's more professional. Just send them the link, and then there's all the videos are there. It's through Adobe. It's Adobe Portfolio. It's free if you have the suite. So if you have the creative suite, it's free. Yeah. I would have a lot to say, because my older self, I'm not too happy with who I was, like my older self, and who I am now. I am becoming more happy with, but it's just because my mentality and everything has shifted. Just a lot, the way he saw the world. And I guess to sum it up, I would really need to drill it home to him that when it comes to, I guess, like success and having the life you want, like it's 100% on you. One, it's 100% on you. I guess the biggest theme, though, I would say double down on yourself and like don't give a fuck about what anyone thinks. Like go all in on Brendan Forde, or now Alexander Forde. Go all in on who you are. Be unapologetic with who you are and what you want out of life, and find a goal and just like chase that shit. And like, don't be afraid to be yourself. Don't be afraid to be yourself. People say your vibe attracts your tribe, right? Like, just be yourself. I firmly believe it doesn't matter how weird, doesn't even make sense. There's no such thing as weird. Right. But like, it doesn't matter how like different or odd you like. There is not only someone, there are multiple people for everybody. Like, there's no person living right now, I don't care how weird they seem, where no one will want to fuck with them. Right. There's people out, you just gotta find them. Exactly. So it's like, just be yourself. Your vibe will attract your tribe. Like, through being your true self, being your true authentic self, which is another very important thing to me, you will naturally attract the people that fuck with you. And it's like, fuck with them. Choose the people that choose you.
Brendan Alexander Forde. If you like the vibe, join the tribe. This is Kicking It with Lex, joined by Brendan Alexander Forde. Yo, it's been such a pleasure. Your story is gonna change so many lives. Like, this is a legacy. Like, this is something that we're leaving behind for the world when we're long gone. All these kids are gonna look at this and be like, yo, like what they're saying is real shit. Say it.
And when the future comes, I don't know which camera to look at, but when your boy is in Hollywood and I'm famous and shit, you could tune into this video and be like, yo, look at a young Alexander Forde before he, came up, Yes. So put this in the archives and remember this.
I'll send you the video. Holy shit. Follow, where can people follow you at? Instagram, right? What's your Instagram handle so people can follow you or contact you?
My Instagram handle is _Xander _the Great. The Xander spelled with an X. So _Xander with an X _the Great. YouTube is Alexander Forde. That's it.
Nice. Good shit, man. Yep. Again, this is Kicking It with Lex. You can follow me at Alexis J. Gallardo on any platform. Love you guys so much. Thank you so much. We are done. We're out. We're done.